This is the Ken and Mike Show. And now, Ken and Mike.
Yeah, so
what up?
and that's what they said. I was like, what's going on with that? You know what I mean? It was the craziest thing I've ever heard. I won't. Oh, hi. No. So,
Welcome to the Ken and Mike Show.
After a couple of...
I'm your host, Mike.
Yeah. And I'm your other host, Ken. We're back. We apologize. We had we had some weird Wuhan virus.
China virus.
Hey. Oh, hey.
Hey, careful.
But I want to tell you, though, we need to really be out there doing our thing because you know what? You miss 100% of the
see, that's
shots
me again. Look
you
at
don't
that.
take. Wayne Gretzky. Michael Scott.
Also Michael Scott.
It's really good to be back, guys. I was lethargic for
Word.
weeks.
For reals,
yeah.
though.
Mike and I were just discussing, and we'll just take some time now. Number one, to say thank you for joining.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
You were.
I'm sitting here in this chair for the past 2 weeks just waiting for you to return. I have no idea why you weren't here.
You should have just turned the cameras on and went.
I couldn't figure out how to work it.
Oh, gotcha.
I just- I didn't.
Yeah, I got you. I'm sorry about that.
I sat here waiting. I've been here since 2 Tuesdays ago,
Oh my gosh.
just waiting for
I'm so
the Ken
glad.
and Mike
I'm
show
so
to
glad I
begin.
can't smell right now.
He was,
Yeah.
he was fully shaved.
Why are you saying
You were fully
yeah, I was fully
shaved.
shaved at the time.
Wow, it's gross slow.
Are you saying it's growing here? Getting a little high? Is that why you wish you could smell?
Right? No. I'm saying because if you were here for 2 weeks and didn't take a shower, it probably smells real bad. So that's the
I
thing.
still can't smell my coffee.
So interestingly enough, there's many people that we won't mention it. We don't have to mention names, but many people that have had it. We've had it. We have
had what?
COVID.
COVID.
The
COVID.
vid.
COVID 19.2, and or 3 because this is the third wave. So we probably already had it before. But you know what? We are survivors. We are survivors.
I'm a survivor.
And I'm going to tell you right now, and I know usually they're going to shut down shows because you're talking about this kind of stuff, but the reality is I don't really care.
This show
Yeah.
will be shut down, I'm sure, because of the stuff that we're going to talk about.
Right, which I don't care because the bottom line is we went through it. And guess what?
So tune in now. Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Share this. Honestly, guys, I really appreciate you tuning in, seriously. Share this with your friends. Share the BMG network with your friends. We'll get into some really great news in a second about the network. But, dude, we literally had COVID, and it did
You
stink.
keep saying we.
Yeah, you and I and other people we know. My wife.
We weren't together.
We weren't no. Mike.
You guys were here together. And
Right?
You
No,
know,
no, it wasn't like that. But we went into our
This is a faith-based show, Kenny.
You playing
we-
dominoes?
and we stayed at home in faith and believed God for our healing, and we got healed. So eventually,
Well,
so I don't know.
we're a little raw tonight. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
it's been
been a
great.
while. So anyway,
Yeah. Oh, there we are.
so why don't you tell us?
I even look raw tonight. I was painting before I came here.
All right. So
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
let's tell our listeners and our viewers
Yeah.
the experiences in which we had.
Okay.
Now, let's put the little caveat in there.
Yes.
The opinions that we express here
Are ours.
are ours,
Yes.
and they're not necessarily indicative of other people's
Or the BMG network.
experiences with COVID.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And this isn't downplaying people who have had serious
this is not
respiratory stuff
downplaying it at all.
at all.
Not
Just
at
to
all.
put that out there.
Because I will make complete light of
Yes.
what I walked through
And me too.
as far as COVID, and I even think you had it worse than I did.
Yeah.
And but
I did.
tell me about your experience with the flu.
Yeah. So, my experience with this version of the flu, which is probably just is the flu, mutated by experimental things going on.
Like
in
I said,
South
these
Carolina.
are our opinions.
We
Follow the science.
Yeah, right. Follow the science. Seriously, follow the science. And then people say that, and they don't when it comes down to it. But basically, it was 2 days. So it's been It's been 18 days that I've been kind of like, okay, I knew something was going on. 18
Dun, dun,
days.
dun, dun.
Yeah.
18 days.
So 2 days before that 18, so 20 days ago,
Who's
I
counting?
right. I sat there. I'm like, I kind of felt a little bit just different. Maybe like I don't know. I felt some heat, you know. Or then the next day, I felt just a little bit lethargic. No big deal. I worked on a Friday all day by myself in this dusty room because I was painting and all this kind of stuff. And I later on, usually that happens all the time. My sinuses are all a little jacked up from the dust. That's what I thought it was. But I was like tasting. I'm like this stuff tastes just disgusting. Even coffee. I was like, it tastes like disgusting. It was the most disgusting taste. I'm like, I can't even drink coffee right now. It's just nasty. What's going on? And so I told Hannah, it's just in your head. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, something's going on.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. The next day, I'm like, okay. I went to have a cup of coffee. I'm like, it's gone. Everything. I went to work. I did all the stuff. Couldn't taste nothing. And that's all it really was. I felt a little bit kind of like maybe a little bit of headache, but that just for me that's normal because sometimes when you were just working, maybe I was dehydrated. And then I knew later on I was gonna wash my hands with some like I didn't know if there's a jug there at the location that I was working, and with some either kerosene or gas. I had no idea because I couldn't smell it. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it'll wash some of this paint off my hands, you know. But I was sitting there, I'm like, I can't even smell this. It's gone. So, and it's been pretty. I'm at I want to say like 40% capacity on my smell and taste now. So it's like,
No, you're better than me in that.
yeah,
regard.
I can if I put something up to my nose, you know, I can kind of smell it, but it smells weird. Like this coffee smells weird, but my deodorant I can smell that. I can't smell like if something happened in here, I couldn't smell it. You know,
Like spraying some Febreze.
if you sprayed, I wouldn't smell it. I cannot smell anything.
Mike did that test. He sprays a box. He goes, here, smell this. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, yeah, I can smell it. I'm like, I can taste it too.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I can't smell it.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't smell. I can't smell.
That was my clue.
That
can-
and chicken wings.
Yeah, I could sort of. I could sort of taste barbecue sauce, and I could sort of taste like strawberry jam. But that's really about it. I've got nothing, and it's really.
Now tell me. We talk about. I'll do
Yeah.
mine after, but
Yeah.
tell me about what it. How did you feel?
Right.
What were other than your taste? and all
Right.
that, what were your other symptoms? Did it do anything to you?
So Friday.
Did you lose your libido?
Right. I did. Yeah. So Saturday was when I have no taste or smell, but I worked and stuff like that. Sunday came and I heard, our church
You
was shut
did
down.
what?
What?
You
What'd I
went
do?
to work?
He works by himself.
I was by myself though. I didn't know I had it.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I'm kidding.
No,
We're
I'm
gonna
joking.
get
No.
in. We're gonna
Yeah.
get into that.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
really care. No, I'm joking. I do care.
We'll get into
Okay,
that.
so basically, then Monday came. Monday was like when I was just like, I started just feeling like tired. And then Tuesday, but I was still going about doing things, whatever like that. I was fine. And Hannah she's like, I think I'm losing my. She started feeling like a little bit weird, and she started feeling feverish and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know, I haven't experienced that. So she kind of got the fever part first, and then I got that afterwards. So I lost my taste and smell first. Then she got she got the fever. Then she's like, yeah, I don't think I have. I think mine's different from yours. I'm like, I'm telling. No, if you're getting something, it's the same thing that I have and the same thing that the kids had. And all of a sudden, she's like, I don't think I can taste anything. And then, sure enough, she lost it all too. And so it was pretty much by I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday was like the first day where all of a sudden I'm just laying there. I'm like, and the other thing is too, whenever I've gotten, and I think that I had a virus a while ago. And remember I was telling you about my heart stuff.
Mhm.
That same
And other stuff we won't talk about.
yeah, right, other stuff too. Don't mention that.
So guys, let me tell you a story.
Right. No, please, no, ignore him. But basically though, my heart rate for like 2 days was whacked.
It's because you were near me.
Well, I'll be just laying there, sitting there, and so like my resting heart rate, literally, I can work out hard, and then I'm done, and I'm like at 50 when I'm just chilling, and then 60 maybe or whatever like that, and I'm moving around, it goes to 70. That's normal. This was like resting heart rate was like 90. And then like I get up for a second, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck? And I could tell with this it was like at 140, doing nothing, and it would whack me out, and then I started getting a fever.
So you thought possibly then that was COVID?
At that time, yeah, because that went away, thankfully. Because I was waking up, I'll just say this part: I was waking up every night at like 3 a.m. and all of a sudden my heart was just flying, and my resting heart rate during the day was up too for a good period of time, for about a month. and it finally sizzled out. It was the weirdest thing. And anyway, so that's what that did to me. And after that, even doing little things, I just felt I would do something, and then afterwards I'm like, I could fall asleep right now. I was just so exhausted all the time, and that finally went away just a couple of days ago. To where now it's just the annoyance of not being able to smell or taste anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at. Everybody feels better. Hannah feels great. She's a little lethargic a little bit still, but she's starting to get back to norm too, and she's she doesn't.
See, that's where it was different for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Full disclosure. I mean, I have COPD.
Yep.
3-4 years ago, I went to the hospital for respiratory failure. They were
I remember that.
They were going to intubate me.
Yep.
They were talking about, do I have a DNR and all that stuff. And
Unbelievable. Yeah.
40 years old. No, it's 5 years ago because I was 40 years old. I
crazy.
remember telling the doctor, I'm
Yeah.
40 years old. You bring my beep back to life.
Right. Exactly.
But
I got lots of life left here.
So what had me concerned is, I mean, I'm going to say this loosely. I never bought into. I'm going to get slayed for this.
That's fine.
But I never bought into COVID is real.
Yes.
Okay. It's very contagious.
Yes.
Blah blah blah. But I never bought into the hype.
Right.
Okay. Take precautions. Use sanitary things. But I was like, if anybody is a candidate for issues from this thing, if they catch it, it's going to be me.
Because
I'm going to be lights out. That's what I'm thinking the whole time.
Right. Because you have a underlying condition.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, whatever. I'm still not going to live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go about and live my life and this, that, and the other thing. Other people called that ignorant and all that stuff. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I don't care what your opinion is.
Yep.
But it was 3 weeks ago today. It was after the Ken and Mike show that I just felt like a little tickle. I was like, am I sick?
Yeah. Right.
Do I feel? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was one of those things I really didn't. Something was going on.
Yep.
I couldn't pinpoint it. Just didn't feel myself. But I didn't feel lethargic. I didn't feel sick. I didn't have a fever. I wasn't coughing. It was just like, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
But didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I'm just having an off night. Need to go to sleep. So went home, went to sleep, came in to work Wednesday morning. Everything's fine. And about midday, I feel like I got hit by a Mack truck.
Mm.
I'm just like, I don't feel sick. I just feel lazy.
Right.
I was like, and I felt like I wasn't being productive. Mel's here in the shop with me.
Yep.
I was like, no, I just something's wrong. I can't get
Pinpoint
motivated.
it, right, yeah.
I just can't get motivated. So I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then Thursday came, and Thursday came, or Wednesday, that Wednesday night I went home and I had 103 fever.
Oh wow.
I'm like, well, I'm sick.
Yeah.
Didn't
Right.
feel sick.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm sick.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any symptoms other than I have a fever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm talking to a friend of mine, and they're like, you have COVID. I'm like, I'm not just going to immediately, my default's not going to be I have COVID.
Right.
Okay. So I'm like, whatever. And then the next morning, fever was gone. And I took the temperature. Remember, we took the temperature here. It was like 100. I'm like, maybe I got a little bit. And then we took it again.
It was like 90 something.
It was like 90 something. I'm like, all right, I'm not sick.
Right.
I'm fine.
Right.
So I didn't want to take any precautions because there was really nothing there saying, hey, without a shadow of a doubt, you shouldn't be around people.
Yep.
So I'm doing my thing. And then I was fine. And then I kept going through, and I just felt lethargic for a couple of days, like you were saying, but nothing major.
Yeah.
One night, probably about which preempted me to start thinking maybe, is one night at home. It was like 4 or 5 days in at this point. I got a splitting headache.
Mm.
I'm like, I don't get headaches that often.
Right.
And it was a splitting headache. I'm like, oh, this is awful. And I started feeling like I had sunburn. Everything I touched was like, ow, 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 what's going on?
See, that's the experience my wife had.
And I'm like, all right, I got something now.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, all right, maybe I have COVID.
Yep.
So it was a Thursday. I don't remember what day it was. But it was after the weekend because I was already home, away from everybody now. Because I was like 4 or 5 days in at this point. It was Monday or Tuesday. I said, I'm going to go get tested. I'm just going to go down to the freaking stupid thing. And I've told everybody, I'm never getting tested. I'm never doing anything. But I just couldn't pinpoint. I was like, let me just rule it out of my head
Right.
that I don't have COVID.
Yep.
So I went to urgent care here in Hudson.
Yep.
They did the rapid test. Came back negative. I'm like, see, told you so.
You're good. You're right.
So I'm like, I'm good. And they said, well, let's do the PCR test. You know, they don't have to go all the way in the back of your nose now. They just do a swab in the
Yep.
nose and all that stuff. And they said, if it comes back positive, they'll call you.
Yep.
I'm like, so what do I do in the meantime?
Right.
And even the doctor's like, I don't know if you have COVID. You're not
Yeah.
showing any symptoms.
Yeah.
I said, at this point, I wouldn't quarantine.
Right.
You know, I'm like, all right, doctor's saying this. So.
Right. Right. Don't mention his name. But
I'm like, we're good. So they gave me the online form to go on to check your results.
Mhm.
I go on. There was some sort of initials there for like a failed test or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, what does this mean? So I call up Rapid Care. They're, well, just let me call them and find out. Now we're like 9 days in, and they say, oh, we messed up your results or your sample. Can you come back? I'm like, at this point, I want to like give them the middle finger and say,
Right.
you know what, you guys don't know what you're doing.
right.
I'm fine. But I said, all right, I still don't feel right.
Yep.
I just can't get on. So I went and got tested. It was like Saturday night or Friday night. I don't know which day it was that I texted you. And I texted you that night
You did.
too.
Yeah.
Said, well, guys, Department of Health contacted me here at
Yeah.
10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Via text, quarantine in place. The world's going to fall apart.
Yeah,
you
right.
can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. You've tested positive for COVID.
Well,
And
after the
then-
fact, yeah.
After the fact, and I was like, and then, okay, that night, and I think it might have been psychological that triggered it. That night, I'm like, I can't taste anything. I can't smell anything.
Yeah.
And I really solidified it coming into work, which I shouldn't have done the next day. When I said,
Yeah.
I'm getting hot wings to really be sure.
Yeah.
Sure enough, couldn't taste them or anything. And at this point, finally, Department of Health calls me and like, yep, you have COVID. You tested positive. You can't go anywhere for 10 days. When did you first get your first symptoms? I'm like, I gave the date. I don't remember what the date
Yeah.
was. And I was like, that was 8 days ago.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you only have 2 days left in quarantine. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to quarantine for 2 days. So I did.
Yeah.
I was the good little boy for
Yeah.
the last 2 days.
Right.
I quarantined. But the funny part was, Ken, is from the day that you first felt symptoms,
Yeah.
go back 2 weeks in your mind. Do you think, is there anywhere that you were? Are you kidding me? At this point, you're talking 3 weeks.
Oh, this is what they're asking?
Yeah. Where have you been? What have you gone? Who have you been around? And I was like, at this point, I got indignant.
Yeah.
And I was probably a little unprofessional. And at this point, I don't care.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the world's feeling this way.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I've been to this church. I went to this grocery store. I went to Walmart. I went to Price Chopper. I licked the doorknob down the road. I went to this place and the other. It's like, ma'am, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you have to stay away from everybody in your house, blah, blah. I'm like, that's fine. I got a bathroom in my room and this
Yeah.
and the other thing. Well, who's in your house? And I told them, and I said,
Yeah.
but we kind of isolated everybody once I started feeling suspicious.
Right.
But their answer was, well, your 6-year-old who has been in your room, after this point, we had quarantined him for like 3 or 4 days
Yeah.
away from me. Well, you got to wait till your last day of quarantine and then add 10 days for him.
Are you serious?
That's what they did. And at this point, I'm like, this is being stupid.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to say is that anytime that this has been something that I've learned, and everybody that I know knows this. When somebody is sick in your household, you just don't go near them anyway.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you're sick.
Yeah.
It's no different. Like if my wife or my son or with that. Now it's hard with the kids because number one,
They
a
wanna
6-year-old,
They want to be with
you're literally gonna go like, hey, get away from me. I'm sorry. If I'm sick, then I can kind of do that with your wife. I have my wife, but if they're sick, I just get like, I don't really care. And I never get anything from them. But I'm like, I'm gonna be there for him because he's coughing and hacking and
But
can't
this
sleep.
is where I want to get into the meat and potatoes of our conversation now that we explained
Yes.
our specifics. Yes, he's 6 years old. He likes to come in and cuddle with Daddy
Mhm.
every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
When I started feeling sick, I didn't think anything of it. But once I realized it might be a little bit serious, I was keeping him away.
Yeah.
So they still wanted to wait for me to be my last day, even after I was keeping him away, my last day of me being quarantined 10 days. Then we got to add him 10 days. But then it's like, if you use their own science and their own statistics, there had been, last I checked, I heard now there might have been a couple since, but there were like 0 to 1 cases, documented cases where a child has transmitted
Yes.
COVID to an adult.
Right.
Why is it a freaking concern?
Yeah.
And why are we putting this kid, making a 6-year-old, feel like he's killing
Right.
people
Right.
and that he needs to be kept away from everybody else? He can't go play. All right, fine, for safety, I get it. But we don't need to be overreactive to it. Case in point, I did something I shouldn't have done, and it's over now. I can announce it to the world.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
We were like 3 days into his quarantine.
Yeah.
It was a weekend. I was over and done with. My oldest son had a Little League game. Okay? I'm a single dad, all right, with my kids. I brought my youngest son up to the baseball field because my son was playing baseball.
Yeah.
Had to go pick him up.
Yeah.
And we got there a little bit early. Big effing deal. Oh, I'm sorry. This really got me going.
Yeah.
And I kept him not 6 feet away from everybody. I kept him like 100 to 50 to 100 feet away from everybody. I kept him near me. We stood away from everybody while we waited for his big brother to stop playing baseball. Somebody ratted me out.
They knew about this? Who?
Well, because it already known in the school that he was quarantined, that he wasn't allowed to go to school. So there were other kids there and other parents there. They saw me. But the thing that really got my goat wasn't the fact that somebody ratted me out. They told the school nurse, who then somehow either the school nurse or this person called the Department of Health. But it wasn't so much that we saw this kid at the thing. He's supposed to be quarantined, blah, 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 blah. They started telling lies. They're saying he was coughing all over the place. He wasn't masked. He was doing this, that, and the other thing. All of it, which was a lie.
Yep.
He never got sick. He never showed any symptoms. I checked his fever. I felt him all the time, make sure he was okay. Ask him. He never had an issue. So here I am now having to field phone calls from a school nurse and from a Department of Health official saying, you know he's supposed to be home. What are you doing? You know, totally like acting like they're my big brother.
Go get a warrant. Have a great day.
And I got to the point where I stopped answering the phone.
Yeah.
I saw their number.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't need to deal with it. Now, I did after that. I was like, fine. If everybody's going to be a crybaby about it and be, Papa Karen on steroids.
Yeah.
I just left him home, and I said, sorry, everybody in the world needs to walk around with Kleenex, Micah. You got to stay home, And it's like, and he's going, now Micah's thinking, now he said this to me, which my little 6-year-old, which really got me upset.
Yes.
He's like, I can't go out because I have corona. No one ever said you had corona. No one said you had COVID. Well, everybody's saying I do.
That's annoying. That ticks me off.
And I'm like, it's like, people use some common sense. Follow the science that you say is so important.
So that's the thing that I wanted to say is that who was it? The Pac-Man, Ted Flint did a podcast just recently, and the title of it was "Follow the Science," something along those lines, or do we or something. But
we don't. It only follow the science when it fits a narrative and agenda that you want.
Exactly, and so that's the issue where I get like. You say all these things, and he brought in some really great stats about herd immunity. And also, he talking about the vaccines a little bit. By now, according to the science, that should already take place. And by the way, one thing that we were talking about before the show, and it's not we're going to go into it like we're the all-knowing people here, but I will say we have developed now, because God made our bodies incredible.
Here we go.
We have antibodies.
Here we go. Preach it.
So we have antibodies in our body, and people are ticked off about that too. Well, it doesn't matter. But now you mentioned somebody that we know had called BS on people saying that this still doesn't do anything, only lasts for this long or whatever like that. People still have the Spanish flu antibodies in their bodies at 100 years old or whatever they are, right? This we're talking about. So now we should be getting cards instead of having a vaccination card. We should have a card in our pocket saying, "Hey, I had the virus.
I had COVID.
And so now I have the antibodies."
Yeah, but it's the different variants, and you don't know how long the antibodies are going to last. Well, I still call BS. I should have the same privileges that they're giving everybody that has the vaccine, because apparently the vaccine's got to be rolled out every year to be a booster shot.
You got it.
So, I mean, at what point are we going to use some logic here?
And by the way, they still don't know because of how new these vaccines are. And you saw the things that were happening with it, why they stopped the vaccines.
Yeah.
They have no idea the effect it's going to have in 10 years right now. They just know
don't.
that they're throwing it out there. They're getting some money back. And I'll tell you what, and if you follow the science, go check it out yourself. When we talked about this, and we won't go into it too much because we don't know enough about it. I know we're not experts, but
this is above my pay grade.
Yeah, but go check out the conversation with Dr. Fauci and Rand Paul, and he asked him some very tough questions. And he thankfully he admitted to some of it. Now he tried to downplay it, but Fauci. But the reality is there's some tampering with these viruses where they're making these
They're
super viruses.
purposely experimenting. Why are we doing that to
Yes.
begin with?
Exactly.
And they're saying I forgot how many labs he alluded to that we're doing. He gave a specific number too, Fauci.
Yeah.
But there's X amount of labs here in America that are experimenting with these viruses where that they can be used to get into the human airways. That were SARS-1 they were talking about where they were doing a manipulation to the virus.
Yes.
Why are we doing it to begin with?
Right. Exactly. What are we doing?
Why? Why are we
Yeah.
taking a bat virus and seeing how it responds to human airways? Why are we doing it to begin with? Well, we need to be able to learn from these things.
Want to be proactive.
Who cares? If there is a slight risk an
Yeah.
earthquake hits this stupid lab out
Yeah.
in Silicon Valley, California, or whatever, and breaks open their containment units or their clean rooms or whatever, you're going to have a pandemic that you've never seen before. So why are we even taking the chance?
So even Fauci said we do need to be questioning and we do need to be looking into how this virus got out. Basically, he even said this to Rand Paul. So it makes you question. You have to question this. So was this number one man-made and man-made in the sense of like this is a virus? Was it mutated a bit because they were playing around?
I don't know.
Right, we don't know.
Above my pay grade.
But also, because of all this tampering and these super viruses, what does that do, though? Number one, it can put people into fear. What happens then? Control can take place.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah,
though.
go ahead. Yeah.
Just to highlight a point that you just made, was it man-made? Another thing in that interview that I pulled out that I don't know if a detail that was highlighted, but he specifically said that one of the doctors, I forgot his name that he referenced, specifically said
Yes.
that they've been able to manipulate this virus that you couldn't tell that it looked like under a microscope that it was naturally occurring
Yeah.
when it was man-made. So we may never know.
Never know. But we were funding some people. That's the thing, and he couldn't deny that. So he's like, well, "We're not funding them now."
That wasn't the question.
Hey, do you support the fact that you were funding them? Like, that's the question.
Or you were
Yeah.
complicit in some way.
I did speed officer, but I'm not now.
Yeah, right. I did. Yeah, I did, but I won't do it again. Okay.
I stopped. It had nothing to do with the lights that I saw in my mirror
Yeah.
behind me, but I'm not speeding now.
I think that was a speed bump. No, there's somebody in the road. Oh, well, I won't do that again. Yeah, it's just like, come on. So these are the questions that we have, and it's a very interesting thing. And again, not to downplay. I mean, obviously we're speaking light of how we had it, but the majority of the people that I know, now there's been some people that have been hospitalized and they're okay. Because thankfully you didn't experience this, and we didn't experience the real respiratory stuff.
Right.
But the loss of taste and smell to me was the most. The headache stunk, the heart stuff
Yeah.
stunk. But it's very annoying.
How it manifested
Yeah.
itself in us
Yeah.
is not necessarily indicative of how it's going to manifest itself
Exactly.
in everybody else.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm only using my personal experience as an example.
Yes.
But the death sentence that the media led me to believe that this thing was, because of all the underlying issues that I have,
Yep.
I thought I was going to be dead to rights if I ever caught this thing,
Yeah.
And now it's, sorry, what was all the hype?
Yeah. Right. I know.
Now, seriously, we both know many people
Yep.
that weren't so fortunate.
yeah.
I challenge what underlying conditions there were,
Yeah.
their ages and stuff like
Same
that.
thing with the flu. Same
You
thing
know,
with anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this one may be a little bit, or 50%, 100% more potent, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, but it's a 1% recovery rate. I mean,
Yeah,
or
right.
1%
Death
mortality
rate.
rate.
Yeah. Mortality rate. Yeah.
Come on.
I know. I know. And you talk to these people, and we're talking about schools opening up next year, and they're like, okay, it's still that mask thing. It's like, can we just really put the real science out there to show you what the masks actually
the
don't
schools
do?
opening up, they're going to make everybody who
No, it's
got,
me vax.
everybody who got the vaccine doesn't have to go with a mask, is
Yeah.
what they're preliminarily saying right now. So basically, you want to put a billboard on
Yeah.
everybody that is an anti-vaxxer by keeping a mask.
That's what they're going to
on
call them. Yeah.
So it's a different form of segregation.
That's a great point, Mike. That
I
is
love segregation, though.
They do.
It's a different point, a different way of segregation.
Yes.
It's a different form of, I don't want to say racism, but we can say vaxism.
Right. It is a form of being like, okay, we know those
You're
people and we
different
know
than
those
this
people.
person, and you're evil.
And
You're
now,
a
we know how you think now.
So we got
know
to
who
treat
are.
you
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
And this is point blank. This is really what you're saying. We're going to treat you differently
Mm-hmm.
because you have an opinion about the virus. Now, you don't know if I have an underlying condition that my doctor may have said you probably shouldn't take this vaccine.
Yep.
You may not know that maybe I had somebody in my family that took the vaccine and had a response, and I might have some sort of hereditary things that they had as well that I want to
Yep.
kind of. There's all sorts of things, but you still want to put us in separate camps,
Yep.
not knowing any of the details and any of the facts. Now, me personally, I'll say this right now. I would probably take the vaccine in a few years.
When you watch other
5 or 10
Right.
years. After
10
I-
years when it happens again.
After,
Right.
well, no,
Profit.
after I see, because COVID's not going to go away.
Right.
It's never going to go away.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. But I think we'll have herd immunity by that time. Immunity by that time. But just for argument's sake, say we never get to herd immunity. If the data is there that this predominantly they've improved the vaccines and all that stuff, and there's a data set that is favorable to really me not having any sort of side effects, maybe in about 5-10 years I'd consider doing it.
Yeah.
Right now, and I've always been this way with every vaccine. I'm not a scientist, so this may be poor thinking because I don't know, the different MMRs and all that stuff.
Right.
But if it hasn't been out long enough,
Yeah.
and there's no real data behind it, I'm going to say no regardless.
You got it. I'm with you on that, 100%. Now, because I've been even labeled by some as like an anti-vaxxer.
I'm not.
and neither am I.
I
It's
want
just
a history.
because in the beginning I was, but the reality for me was I'm just super cautious because I don't trust something that I don't know enough about. And I don't trust the people telling me to take it when they're handing me a pamphlet.
That's it.
and
That's
saying,
it.
well, this is why you should get it. But this doesn't list the ingredients.
Right.
This doesn't tell me what it actually, what it does, or it doesn't give me the risks
Just
factors.
because you say
Yeah.
it's okay and
Yeah.
you wear a lab coat and or you're the president or you're somebody that has a PhD after or before your name that says, well, this is safe and this group says it's safe,
Yep.
so you should feel safe to take it. No, there's still a personal accountability, a certain freedom that I have
Right.
here to say, no, I'm not ready for that
Yes.
yet.
And don't forget, there was a lot of kickbacks. And I don't know how things have changed now. I haven't looked into it. I remember doing some research a long time ago, some serious research, writing papers about it, about how pharmaceutical companies were giving bonuses to doctors for making sure that it's depending on how much vaccines they gave out that year. So they were getting a kickback. Now, maybe things have changed, whatever like that, but that's the problem right there. So you're just pushing all this stuff on there. Remember, doctors are smart, but it's learned behavior. They go to school to learn a certain thing, and this is what they do, and they distribute it. They're not actual scientists. Now, some of them are. Some of them are very smart, and those are the ones that say, I think it's your choice because I've seen the benefits, but I also seen some other things too. It needs to be your choice.
I don't fall for the
Right.
the appeal to authority
Right.
Argument that
Yeah.
because you have a PhD, because you have a doctorate, you have this, that you corner the market on the knowledge of what something this brand new, what the results are going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I call bunk. I'm not buying it.
Right. Well, some people are like that, though. It's like, well, I have a PhD. What do you have? Okay, well, what did you learn in your
I
PhD?
have a brain.
So I could do the same research as you without a PhD, but I could even come up with a better result than you. But because you have a degree, you'll only listen to somebody else with a degree.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue to me, and that's frustrating. And Charlie Kirk, who is a really great talk show host, Christian and everything, he goes to university. He has no education, and he goes out there and he literally stomps these people, and in a great way. And he goes, you're coming at me from a position of authority. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so
Obviously,
Yeah.
no matter what I'm going to say,
Yeah.
it's not going to
Yeah.
not going to ring to you.
Yeah,
it's
he-
not going to be
he
relevant.
calls
to
him out
you.
on it.
So why should we even talk?
Yeah. So you're telling me that I can't have any facts, legitimate facts, because you have it. So and he'll just start asking them questions. They have no idea.
Right.
They just know what they just read in the book or didn't read. They're just getting through college to go get a job.
Look what I have embroidered on my shirt.
Right.
It says that I know everything.
Right, exactly. And by the way, we are at the halfway mark. I do want to make a couple things mention about number one. Thank you for joining us right here on the Ken and Mike Show. We are back. We're going to have a lot of great guests coming up. By the way, good publishing company. I think I told you see my email?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so which is awesome. They're reaching out to us and they want to start setting up some interviews with us and some really great authors, but also some other great guests.
Hey, can I plug Adrian Ross?
Yeah, in 1 second.
Okay,
Yes.
'cause she,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where we're going, and you go for it. But we have a lot of amazing things coming up. But be sure to go to the bmgnetwork.com. We've got a host. Now I'll let Mike go into this a little bit. But we have one of the greatest announcements that you've probably seen on our Facebook page. Which, by the way, if you're not on our Facebook page, go to the Ken and Mike Show on Facebook. But also go to the BMG Network, because then you'll get all the whole network all together right there. But one of the great things is that we have a brand new host on who is I can't say enough about.
Mhm.
She's a speaker, an author, and her name is Adrian Ross. And take it away.
No, I gotta say,
Yeah.
I listened to the pilot episode
Yes,
yesterday.
go for it.
Phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
awesome orator. Just her personality
made
just comes
for it.
out in her voice. It's made for it. It's phenomenal. You got to check it out. I didn't. Now you said you got to listen to the actual
Because I put it
first
together.
show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you said it was fabulous. I haven't listened to it yet, and I'm going.
Well, let
to
me give you
when
the
I leave
title.
here. Yeah, go
Let
ahead.
me get so listen to the pilot episode, please, because you'll learn a lot about Adrian Ross, where she's come out, her background, why she is where she's at. You can see right there on the screen right now. Her about is in a good way pretty long. And look at that quote. Now I put that quote up there, and she liked it. Oh, it's gone now. But I have it right here. I want to read that quote to you. This
I
is
can
what.
read it right here.
Okay. Well,
I
this
have
is.
it up.
Oh, okay. Go for it. Read it.
We need less people in our lives. and
No,
more,
no. We need less yes people.
Oh, sorry.
That's
We
great.
need less yes people in our lives and more people who will tell us they love us, but our hearts are wrong. You can feel good for the moment, or you can feel free. You decide.
Yeah. Or you can be free forever. You decide. That's a quote by Adrian Ross. So listen to that though. We need less yes people. So people go to people who are just like,
No, I want you to agree with me. Make me feel
make
good.
me feel good. This is so. I want to tell you something.
No, if I'm slipping, call me out. Will you?
Right. So let me just give you the title of her first first episode.
Mm-hmm.
It is hashtag Black Love and White Privilege.
Ooh.
And by
oh.
the I want to tell you that she comes at it hard, and she comes at it from a Christian perspective, a solid biblical perspective. And I'll tell you right now,
Yeah, check it out.
yeah, you can't you can argue with God all you want, have fun, but she brings it out. You cannot
No,
argue
right.
with it.
The media would lead me to believe, though, I can't have an opinion on what she's talking about.
Right,
So.
right.
I would love to have a conversation with her about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and by the way, we will have a panel discussion with all of us. We'll have Ted, you, me, her on, and we will talk about this, because I want to now. The podcast is awesome, but we can have her on and we can elaborate a little bit more too, because I would love to hear a little bit more what she has to say. But it's such a privilege to have her alongside of us.
We're excited to have her. She's an amazing woman. Every time I hear that she's going to be speaking
Yeah.
somewhere that I'm able to get to, I look forward to it.
Everybody does.
You know, it's just.
Yeah.
I just wish we could take a can opener, open her brain, and just.
And yeah,
I
just
love
look.
it, you
Yeah,
know. Yep.
she's a fantastic personality.
Her and Pastor Chris Romano.
Oh,
I
100%.
just love it when
Yep,
I just sit back and watch.
they're
I'm good.
fantastic. They're fantastic.
I just want to feed.
They're
on your-
teachers.
I just want to feed on your knowledge.
Yep.
I love just the skill, and I love the just the way the way it's projected.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
it's awesome.
It is awesome. So it's great to have her on, and be sure go to the bmgnetwork.com and go to you can go to the shows, you can go to listen, and you'll see all of our stuff up there.
Oh, look who's
and-
on. She said thank you, guys.
Yeah, our privilege, and so it's gonna be it's fantastic. And again, we also want to make mention too, if you want to come alongside of us and be a part of what's going on here. Now, again, I mentioned network. We have the Ken and Mike Show. We have our podcast. We have Adrian Ross, the Adrian Ross Show. We have the Pac-Man show, and we have Set Apart with KC, who's going to be coming back in action, I believe, because she had also had COVID.
Well, now that we've shaken this China virus,
Right now we're getting back.
we can
yeah.
get back into the groove of doing things.
But
Looking forward to it.
But it is a network, and the bottom line is there's power and there's strength in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
When we come together for a specific cause, not an agenda, but a cause, and that cause being number one, Him, God Almighty. That's who we live for, and then after that, it's we want to bring that light everywhere we go. We do that in our case. We do that by doing what we're doing right now. And if you want to come alongside and be a part of that, whether that's just to support us, to be a part of it, or if it's financially, or if you're a business that wants to have it advertised with us or any of our hosts, let us know and come be affiliated with us.
I'll say it here at the Ken and Mike Show
Yeah.
that, many times we go down many different rabbit trails.
100%, yeah.
We talk about many different things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if what we are doing does not point to the cross
Yeah.
and does not point to Christ, I don't want to be a part of it.
Exactly.
Now, full disclosure, there's times where we just get off on a rampage and
Because we're
can-
humans and we have fun
Yeah,
too. Yeah. So.
But
yeah.
ultimately, at the end of the day, as a whole work
Yep.
here at the Ken and Mike Show and the BMG Network, ultimately, I want it to point to Christ. I want, it ultimately lead to your salvation, or at least point you to a place where you can find Him.
Right.
And if we can do that with one person, it was worth it.
You got it.
It was a great
You-
time. And
Excellent
here we go.
point. Exactly. That's exactly right. And I've had that conversation with somebody recently, and it really is about that. I could say all the things in the world. You can say all the things. We can all say all these things in the world to kind of provoke somebody into learning more about Him. But the reality is, it's really saying, Lord, reveal Yourself to me. And guess what? He does.
And I
He
think the
does.
cool thing about what we
Yeah.
got going on
Yeah.
here is we're not in any sort of structure or group that defines us in a specific way where we have to do it a certain way. We
You got
kind of
it.
like, we've broken off the chains. There is no group that we're affiliated with that we have to represent.
You got it.
Now, if you find out that we are a part of a group, our opinions here are not indicative and do not, reflect them.
Right.
But here at the Ken and Mike Show, we want to be able to be a little bit loose. Sit down, like we said when we first started
Yes.
this thing. Sit down, have a cup of coffee with us.
Yep.
Let's make it raw.
Exactly.
Okay, pull the filter off within reason,
Yes.
and just let it all hang out.
Yeah.
And just probably a wrong choice to say right there.
Yeah,
but,
you just open,
Yeah, you
walked right into that.
Yeah.
but just be yourself.
Yes.
Just lay it out on the table.
See,
And
that's it because we
no
have
no
yeah.
judgment here. We're
Yep.
not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong. Well, if you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
Because you know what? That's a great point because one of the things that's so frustrating in today's culture or in relationships, I should say, and the way that we communicate as well, is that you find a lot of times relationships and in general and just even acquaintances and even people in general when they're doing what we're doing, it's so superficial.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is that who you really are?
Mm-hmm.
Our desire is like somebody met us, they'd be like, that's exactly you guys are exactly who you are when we talk
Right.
to you, and I think that's important because
We're not pretentious.
Right.
We're not. We
we don't tell you everything because some things
I don't
is
wear.
private.
I don't
but
wear a robe and a big cross that hangs
Right.
down around in a flattery on
That'd
my
be funny
head.
though. You should get one of those big golden ones.
Like Flavor Flav.
Yeah, like Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav. No.
We actually, I gotta tell you, today we were doing stuff at the house and painting the porch and stuff like that. And so I put the we were doing old school '90s R&B. Some of it's awesome, but there's a couple I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like, oh boy, Alexa, get that off.
Did I used to listen to that?
Yeah, because my kids are just like, huh? I'm like, nah, nothing.
Can we find a clean version?
Yeah,
I
can we-
can't catch myself. I can't
Yeah.
believe how many times I've actually caught that.
Yeah,
Where I'm a big. I used to be a DJ, so
Yeah.
I used to run the gamut
Yes,
of,
right,
of
right.
music. But my favorites are like the old '80s music.
right.
And I'll start jamming them out around the kids, and it's like, wow, they meant that differently than I
Did I remember?
Did I remember singing that? Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, and the thing is that gets in you,
Yeah.
whether you know it or not.
right,
It's like, wow,
exactly.
that probably influenced a lot of poor decisions in my life.
I think I made
You
one or
have
two
kids
poor
realize
decisions.
that they're
Yeah.
they're sponges.
Yeah.
And they're like
Kids are the
Like
great
repeats.
awakening.
Yeah, I know I've made at least two poor decisions in my life, but besides that, it's because of my wise choices that I've made. So
Kenny, I've known you a while. It's more than two.
it is way more than two. I think I've made. I mean,
3.5.
Yeah,
at
right.
least.
3.5 a day. But you know what though? Adrian said something else again. If we could get that up there, I just want to see that.
She said to be mentioned in the same sentence with someone I consider a mentor and one of the best communicators on the planet.
Oh
Best
yes,
an
yes.
honor. Is an honor. You're right up there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you are.
You're right up there.
Interestingly enough, I was just like we were having my mom's up from PA, and so we've been hanging out, and we had a little shindig over at Pastor Chris's house because he's my brother-in-law, and so we were talking about you, Adrian, because we were talking about this, and he's just like, oh my, and he did. He had I won't say all of it. He just had so many good things to say because he's just so feels the same way about you.
Well, maybe now that Adrian has blessed us and honored us with being a part of the network, maybe we can rope him in and
Rope him in too.
get him.
You know what I wanted to say about that? So he doesn't like to get political. He just doesn't want to do it. He's not going to do it. Which
I get it. Makes sense.
For me, I'm like, that's fine. Do what you
still
do.
Contribute.
Yeah, do what you do.
He's relevant,
yes.
but he's not into it.
You got it. So, great thing about it is obviously we know about the big move. Florida is coming quicker than expected. But Adrian lives not here. She lives in Missouri, but she's part of this network. All of us, like if something happens that I move away, the great thing about technology is this network will only grow because we can do everything that we do anywhere in any location. Our Ted Flint, the Pac-Man, not in this location.
So the person that moves the furthest away, that's where we forward all the hate mail.
That's where
I can't move.
Yes,
So-
yes. Well, I can.
Oh, you
and-
guys can move.
And
I
I
can't.
know.
I can't move. I'm locked.
Yeah. Well, possibly in a couple of years, right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll talk about it another time.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. But anyway, guys, again, thank you so much for being part of what we're doing, and share this with your friends. Share all of it with your friends, not just the Ken and Mike show, not just Ken and Mel and Mike and Kristen, but Adrian and Ted, all of us. But let us know your thoughts. We really enjoy reading what you have to say. And by the way, we got some great comments on YouTube, which I appreciate everything that you guys are saying.
Have we got
there.
new ones? I haven't been on in a while.
I haven't been on a while. The last time I
Okay.
checked, it was some new ones for me.
Okay.
So again, that's the other thing. I told you I will say this. I had a couple of days where Hannah's like, "You are just overly emotional." I was out. I felt like just being sick just made me feel so
wasn't
like
Tylenol,
depressed.
Ken.
Bring it in.
I
Kenny.
do
You
need a hug after
You need
the
a break.
thing.
Bring it in.
I had no motivation. I don't want to do anything. Nothing. I didn't go on face. I didn't do nothing because I'm just like I don't even care.
Kenny got in touch with his feminine side.
I did.
That wasn't Tylenol. Ken.
Yeah, it wasn't. By the way, that's the thing. Hannah, actually, she took some ibuprofen or something one night, 3 of them. Her headache did not even go. I went in the bedroom and she's laying there she's got a bag of frozen French fries on her head.
See, I'm picturing Kenny right now. In the middle of the night, he woke up
With his robe.
with his robe, and he's standing in front of the freezer eating a gallon of ice cream, just crying.
Yeah. I can't taste this.
I want brain freeze so I can stop my headache.
I couldn't.
He said bad things to me.
Yeah, right. Can I ask you a question though? Did you at all get that weird? So Hannah experienced this. I think Chris a little bit, but I had this weird, unexplainable, that's what made
It was
it more.
your emotions, Kenny.
No, this disgusting. Even though everything at first things would taste so disgusting, I'm like I felt like I had that almost like a virus kind of sickness taste
Never
in the back
happened.
of my throat. Where I'm like, and so even after when I started kind of getting something back where it felt normal again, where the nausea went away, because there was 4 days where I just didn't even eat. I was like,
I
everything's
never got
disgusting.
that. I'm fat and I still eat like a pig.
But I'm sitting there and I'm like, and so and then when I started feeling even peanut butter, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I'm seeing that all over Facebook. Stay away from peanut butter.
Oh,
I'm
it's
tempted to
just-
try it just because see what everybody's
because it
talking
almost
about.
brings back that weird taste. I had this weird
See,
taste.
I didn't lose my taste.
It
and
wasn't a
smell
taste
till
though.
the
It was a
end.
weird thing. I can't explain it.
You got it at the beginning.
I thought that was the very first thing that happened to me. And I kept going about life. I'm like, oh, this is nothing. Then it was Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm like, oh boy.
See, I had all my different symptoms, not all at once, all at different days.
Yep.
And the last thing to go is my smell and my taste.
Yeah, we're frozen for some reason.
We're frozen up there. That's all right.
I'm sure our voices are not though. So that's weird. That's interesting.
Frozen.
We are just there. It is. Oh, it's just placing. But yeah. I don't know. Where I was at. All I know is that we made it through it, Mike.
Yep. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yep. And I do. I think that person that we were talking about said I want to go somewhere and get my antibodies tested.
Mhm.
I would love to do that as well. So
So you can. Go ahead and
Yeah.
get your antibodies tested.
I know I won't do a darn thing, but
I know I have antibodies
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah, me too.
I have a positive test result. And
Exactly.
I'm gonna print that out and go, I had it.
yeah,
Now let me in.
exactly. Get off me.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. How is that going to work? I know how it's
Yeah.
going
Like
to
a
work.
passport.
Because
Yeah.
they're already telling everybody, unless you've been vaccinated,
Right.
you can't attend games, this, that, and the other thing. What is the all right? Number one, I had it. You had it.
Yeah.
Even if we were to say tomorrow, you know what? Screw it. The vaccine's safe.
Yeah.
100% safe. There's not a chance that you can get anything from it, even the hiccups. Okay.
Yeah.
You're absolutely fine. What is the point of me getting the vaccine now? I've already had it.
Because they're
you
going
had one variant.
Right.
So what?
right.
But which variant is the vaccine protecting?
It's the same thing with the flu.
I've had it.
Why haven't they mandated the flu vaccine then?
Oh,
If people
shut up. They're going to give it time. Don't give them ideas.
right.
No, well, the flu's dying. The flu is dying because COVID is just taking over.
Oh, right. That's right. It's joined together and
But-
said, "Let me use some of your molecules."
So what are
Right.
we going to do? I mean, so when they say, well, you know, you may have the antibodies, you're only good for 6 months. Well, fine, then leave me alone
Wait,
for
how do
6
you know
months.
How do you know that?
Well, they're saying the antibodies are only good for 6 months.
Yeah, it's bull crap. Crud.
So like, you know, cars, electronics only last, they only keep them for, you know, a couple of years because they know they're going to go bad again.
Okay, so here's the thing for me. I'm gonna make the same argument that I always make, and that most people make too, when it comes to vaccinations. Okay, you have the vaccine, so you're immune, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you want me to get the vaccine if I don't want it? What am I gonna do to you if I get it again?
Mm-hmm.
What am I
Well,
gonna?
like that post that I put on
Yeah.
social media that people are calling me ignorant for.
Right.
It's like they're saying what I'm hearing now is if you are vaccinated,
Mm-hmm.
you can take off your mask.
Yeah.
If you're not vaccinated, you have to keep your mask on. My question is, who am I harming if I'm not and you are? Can somebody explain this to me?
Are you
Am
vaccinated?
I protecting
Yeah.
the vaccinated
But
people?
that's why these people are brainwashed.
Everybody's like, well, what about people who aren't vaccinated? Well, they're not wearing a mask. Do you think they care?
Right. That's the point. That's it. You know, for now,
Well,
that's what we're
somebody
gonna do.
said this is where they said I'm ignorant. And they said, well, what about our kids? You know, what about the kids who aren't vaccinated yet? You know, that's what you should be concerned about. Did you not hear the CDC reports that there are almost, I think it was zero, but
It's almost nothing.
Zero.
Yeah.
Of transmission of these younger kids to adults. And not even that. If their kids are getting it, they're not even being affected by it. There are a few. Yes, there's
Yeah.
always a caveat. There's people who are dying from the flu. There's people who are dying for putting their fingers in electrical sockets.
Right.
Stop.
Well, but this is what they'll say about anything that goes according to their narrative, is one child is too many type of thing. It's just like
One child getting killed by the vaccine is too many.
exactly. But also, and it brings me to a point that I'll make.
Use their stats against them.
One child. You're going to say one child is too many. What about the child in the womb?
It's only cells right now,
Right.
Kenny. Come
so
on.
I want. It brings
My
me.
body, my choice.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
exactly.
My
So
body,
you
my
want to use
choice.
that argument? So are we going to? It's my body, my choice. If you have the vaccine, have a great day.
Yeah, but your body, your choice is affecting me with the virus.
You have a vaccine, buddy.
Exactly.
So leave me
Or a
alone.
mask.
Then dude, we'll go into crowds. This is what we'll do. If you go to a
You know
baseball
what?
game, I'm not vaccinated.
I'm
you know?
making a T-shirt
Right.
with a needle with a slash mark through
Yeah.
it. That's going to say right across the top of it, "My body, my choice." We're all going to walk around with these T-shirts. "My body, my choice."
You got it.
Hey, you want the best seats in the house at the stadium?
I identify as vaccinated.
No, just go and say, I'm not vaccinated.
Right.
I'll leave you.
I want to say a couple of things too, and I'll get in that story real quick. I just said punk. Because I have it open right now, by the way, talking about Adrian, if you go to the BMG Network, the BMGnetwork.com, you can click, there's a ton of links there for you, but also check out under books. She's got some excellent books. One of them is a fantastic one entitled Push Your Way to Purpose. Obviously, by the title, you can tell what that's all about. But her hashtag Aunt Alma ones are hilarious. You'll want to check those out as well. What else on here? Of course, you can listen to her show, but she's got a ton of links. She's got a fantastic column. She's obviously an amazing writer that you can subscribe to. Go to the BMGnetwork.com and go to her page, and you can go there and you can subscribe. Please do. Please subscribe to all our stuff here. But I wanted to go to that piece if I can find it here. And it is, so we heard about the Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban. Thing. And so they're getting into the Supreme Court Monday agreed to take up the case of the Mississippi law banning abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, potentially paving the way for the majority conservative court to limit the rights outlined in the landmark case Roe versus Wade. Now, this is only in Mississippi, but here's the thing, like anything, it's a possibility if this case does well, it could trickle into other states, which I hope it does. Because this is so frustrating to me.
Tell us how you really feel.
You know what I'm saying, though? It's like you're telling. This is the ridiculousness of America right now. You're okay with this bullcrap, but you'll push all this other stuff on us as if like that doesn't matter so much. And that's what's frustrating. And the fact that we're even fighting this in court over babies' lives that are real lives is just appalling. And I know there's a lot of people that obviously pro-lifers are really infuriated by. It's like it should be a no-brainer. And if you, I will just say this: if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I don't think you have a brain. I don't. It's just like, what are you thinking about? Honestly, you're alive right now. Are you happy to be alive? Well, there's a lot of babies out there that would be happy to be alive. Well, they don't know. Okay, maybe because they're not, adapting to life yet, but they are alive. It's not just a clump of cells. And I pray to God that this thing goes through, and I hope it trickles.
The abortion issue, I didn't know. I didn't know we were going there on the show today.
Yeah,
but
me
still,
either.
I take it very personally.
Yeah,
and
I know you do. Yeah,
I'm a guy, so I have no
Right.
right to say anything in regards to it.
according to
According to
the standard.
the narrative.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you have no heart, really.
Yeah.
And if it's come to the point in this nation where abortion is being used as as the pill.
population control.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically being used as a contraceptive.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I made a mistake. Let's erase the mistake.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do anything leading up to it.
Right.
All of a sudden, now it's just selfish.
In America, that is the issue with everybody, and you can see it in families today, right? We don't actually deal, and this is a podcast in of itself, a show in and of itself. We don't deal with the root issues.
I know.
We just get rid of the mistake and say like, "Oh, everything's better now." No, it's not, because we didn't actually deal with it.
We always react.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
don't- that's the thing.
We don't act. We react.
We always
Yeah.
we always react. We don't respond.
Yeah.
And there is a distinct difference. But that is just a culture in America that we react to our plight.
Yep.
No one plans anymore. There's no discipline in this
Yeah.
country.
Yes.
And we can get down to the nitty-gritty of it, but it all comes down to is education
Mm-hmm.
and like we were just talking and just planning. Kenny, do you know
And
how
humility.
do you know how babies are born? Do you
I
know how they're made?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let's take the faith aspect out of it just for a second. Let's play the devil's advocate here. Let's take the Christian worldview out of it for a second.
Okay.
I would never really say that, but let's just do it just for argument's
Yes.
sake. You know the mechanics of intercourse.
Yes.
You know the mechanics of what could possibly happen if you go down said route.
Yep.
You haven't protected yourself. You haven't abstained. You haven't done anything else. But you know how it happens, and you know what the end result is. So you don't want to take any personal responsibility. Your answer is, well, I didn't prepare all the way up until this point. Now it's the baby's fault.
Yeah.
All clump of cells. We're
Yeah.
dehumanizing
Yeah.
it now. And we're just going to erase that and wash that away
Right.
as if you have no accountability to it.
Yeah.
So why should that baby pay? And then you know my story, and that's why I take it very personally.
Yes.
It's disgusting. Hey, I'm glad I'm here today because somebody had the wherewithal to say, hey.
Yeah.
That's already happened.
Right.
Okay? Let's not let this child pay for the poor decisions of other people. And the argument is always, well, the rape issue and all that stuff. We're not going to make a whole decision on a big problem over a very small minutia percentage of what you're trying to allude to
Right.
with rape and incest
Right.
and all that stuff. Let's really be honest about
That's
it.
right.
That's not the argument
Right.
here. You just want to hang on to one thing to validate yourself.
You got it. That's a great point.
And it's
And by the
terrible.
way, I want to say too, and to any that's the bottom line. And anybody who's even listened to this show, or anybody that you know, if that's already happened in their lives, by the way, praise God, there is forgiveness. It's not like guilt tripping you, and it's saying when we've all made some stupid mistakes,
Mhm.
some way bigger than others, but they're all
We
mistakes.
gotta start teaching ownership.
Right? You own it. You apologize. You humble yourself.
Move on.
People forgive each other, and then you go on. If you keep carrying, and I've used an analogy before, imagine people like they're just so frustrated and they just stay angry all their lives when they don't have to be. It's like having a chain that's not locked. It's on your foot, and you're carrying around a dead carcass, and everybody's looking at it like, "Whoa, why is that person carrying that thing around?" But they need that in their lives.
Look, it's unlocked.
Yeah, that's a dead carcass. It's disgusting. Let it go. Like, you don't have to carry that anymore. He did something for you on the cross so that you wouldn't have to do that anymore. Well, that's too simple for me. Well, then enjoy your life. I don't know what to tell you. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean it's that easy, you know. And by the way, I got to mention too, The Chosen is awesome. If you haven't watched that show, and we keep propping that up, check it out. It's really fun to watch. It's great, especially because, you know, like if you're married or you're with your fiance soon to be, watch it together because it's really great because you're both kind of questioning things and looking at it, and you get a taste of the Bible together, which is really cool. Another way besides reading together and stuff like that. It's just fun. And I like watching stuff. So
I love how they made it very human.
yeah, exactly.
Not so religious.
My name is Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am here to. You know, that's kind of how people look at us. Like, it's not like that.
No.
He actually has a little bit of fun. You know, he was a
Like
guy.
humor.
Yeah. So, anyway, Mike, I'm so glad we're back. We got.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we have a lot to look forward to on this network,
Welcome back.
and you guys do too.
Tune in every
Yeah.
Tuesday night.
Yep. If you haven't
at
subscribed,
6 p.m.
we have new subscribers on YouTube.
We do it.
Yeah.
We're
If you
blowing
haven't,
up.
tell you guys, tell your friends.
There's no network like
share
the
this.
BMG network.
That's hey, I like that. 6 p.m.
Eastern
Standard Time, right here Tuesday. Next Tuesday we'll be here, maybe with a guest, maybe with some people that you might know or
Let's
don't
do
know.
this.
I don't- yeah.
We're blowing up, baby. Be
Yep.
a part of it.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
for
guys.
tuning in.
God bless you.
The Ken and Mike Show.